wonderful program coming to you. And please don't forget to subscribe or give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Kenya's new system is in a dilemma right now, and there has been a lot of condemnation from the teaching fraternity, more especially from KUPPET. KUPPET has said that once junior secondary disbanded, because it has miserably failed, there is an unpreparedness in having this system go away. So what is actually wrong with our education system? The Kenya's education system has undergone through different stages. This is not, did we really need this education system? Because in the Kenya's education system, we have had different systems in the country. Since independence, before independence, we had what we called East African Community education system. When we were both Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, we had 7423 system, which is lasted from 1967 to 1977. And at that time, we had East African Certificate of Primary Education, ESCC, East African Certificate of Education, whatever. From 1977 to 1984, we had carved ourselves from the rest of East Africa community, and then we had our own 7423 system, which was the same. But we only changed the abbreviation for our examination. Now it became Kenya. Instead of East Africa, it became Kenya Certificate of Education. Now, then we ushered 844 curriculum in 1985, which we have been running until present, now that we moved to this new system, 2633 curriculum. And this one, the new system, has no examination, only continuous assessment test. What system we have had as a nation? Did we really need this education? Was Kenya, with all of this since independence, within 6 years, we have had so many education systems? And in a brief nutshell, do really people know even what this education system is? Now that basically what we used to have, the 844 system, was arranged. It was so ambitious. It was giving us the country. We were promised so many things. We had pre-primary education, then primary education for 8 years, 4 years in secondary education, and the university 4 years. And then we create, from primary, there were other people who were supposed to branch to technical schools and polytechnics. And from there, they go to colleges and polytechnic. And then they go to the marketplace too. That was how, and it promised that it was going to create a technologically advanced country. That was the irony that we were told that this education system was going to do. Did it achieve this really in the long run? The 844 system has run from 1985. Those are many years. What was wrong and what was the need for this education system? In the real sense, did Kenya need this new education system? And you know, when you ask educationists, when it comes to curriculum development, a curriculum has to be revised. They have to get inputs and they correct data, and then they start what we call a pilot. a pilot scheme whereby we could have taken a few schools to go through this system, and then we correct the mistake before we implement it. Did they do that? I wonder. That one I would leave it to educationists to tell us that. I don't think all of this was needed. Now, there is already chaos in secondary. They decided to domicile the junior secondary in primary education when there was no infrastructure in those primary schools to accommodate this. Now, this has put the minister Ezekiel Machogo on a tight spot, because this is they inherited from the education system from the old regime, but the current president was already the deputy president, so he was among the people who did this. You know, we have had, even since independence, we had different commissions come up with, these commissions came up with big things. You know, like we had the Ominde report in 1964, which established for colonial education reforms. And we had the Gachati report of 1976, which helped to redefine vocational policies, cultural aspirations, socio-economic and natural unity. The Mackay report of 1981, which terminated the advanced level education and established 844 system, Commission for Education and more university. So they started that. They started more university. So it had recommended the Mackay report. You know, Mackay was from Canada. It's like he imported the system from Canada, thought that that is what Kenya needed. We have had the Kamunge report of 1988, which features mostly of education quality, relevance, and financing. And the Koech report, which was never implemented, which had it wanted to integrate the education system in Kenya. So we have had this, and I don't know whose commission was this, the new education system. I know they borrowed this education system from, the current education system, the new education system, which is 2663. 6 years in primary education, 3 years in junior secondary, and 3 years in senior secondary, making 6 years of secondary education. Then from there, 3 years in higher education, whatever. That is exactly what they brought up. And where did they come up with this one? As the Kachati report brought the 844 system, which is mostly in Canada and the US. Now they went east. This is the education system which they adapted from, they borrowed it from Japan. In Japan, where actually, if we compare this is a comparative analysis we can do between the Kenyan, this system of 2633, and where they had to go through this education system, and they expected to start producing cars like Japan. So probably people who instigated to have the Japanese system, they thought this one could come and change the country and probably make us to develop cars like the Japanese does. It is not in the system. It is the money power, capital investment in people. And that one could have been achieved if we had implemented the Koech report. I think if people really wish what the Koech report had for the country, surely that would have changed it. Now, the 633 system, this was brought at the end of the Second World War. Japan was occupied by United States. The period from 1945 to 1952 was the major reform in Japanese society, and some of these reforms were brought while the United States was a caretaker committee, or a caretaker country after the Second World War. So they instituted this education system. But when you look at this education system in Japan, yes, 6 years of elementary school, 3 years of junior high school, 3 years of high school, and 4 years of university. It kind of mirrored that this is what the Kenyan government really wanted. But one thing we don't have to forget is that Japan, since 1945, they have never changed the system. And yet we attained our independence in 1963. We have changed the system several times. There is some opaqueness in how this system was brought. And this has now put Kenya at a very bad pedestal how we are going to survive this system of education, which we are not sure what is going to help us. To me, the new Kenya Kwanza administration could swallow their pride. I mean, it is not too late. And I expected that the task force was to recommend actually to revert, to suspend, even, I'm not saying to do away with it. We can suspend it for a time until we have enough infrastructure and we look at it afresh. It will not be bad for the country because the Harvard things they are doing now in primary school, there is no infrastructure, there are no teachers. That's why you see the people complaining. The teachers are complaining, the union are complaining to make this. And in any case, if we want to make the country technologically advanced, I think we have, I remember Professor Magoa taking issue with this and told people that how can we started a university like JKUAT, Jomo Kenyatta College of Agriculture and Technology. Why do we now that Jomo Kenyatta is producing more degrees in human sciences than technology? Why couldn't us put it clearly to emphasize and do a reform that we make those universities and technical colleges, if they're technical, let them remain technical? Why are we producing a lot of graduates who cannot get jobs? And look, we really need to look at our institutions and even the way we fund. They need to be integrated. Our advanced education system and universities need to be integrated with industry. I think we have to emphasize much more in industry, which we don't have. Even if we produce engineers, and yet we don't have where to employ them. If we will not create a market where these people are going, we will just be mass producing people from universities and colleges who will not have a place to go. So, my recommendation is that if we have to do that emphasis, we have to change and swallow our pride and say, we really didn't need this system. Only we wanted a system. Maybe people wanted to benefit from the change of the system, but for now, where Kenya is, my great advice is that we need to stop the system, hold it until we have put enough infrastructure in place so that